Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, we're coming at you today from the Level 10 podcast studio at the Greatness Factory in the heart of downtown Nashville. And I've got a real treat for you today. Folks, she is the CEO of the Power Yoga Project right here, Heather Andrews. Heather, how we doing today, girl?
We're doing great. Thanks for having me. I am so excited to be here at the Greatness Factory. This place is absolutely amazing.
Just like home.
It is like home. It is home for me.
That's right.
Yeah, you too, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, folks, you can check out the Power Yoga Project online at thepoweryogaproject.com. You can follow Heather on Instagram at Heather Andrews. Heather H. Andrews on Instagram. All right, Heather, the one-word problem you solve. Right? What is the one-word problem that you solve? Tell me again. Growth. All right. And you challenge people to grow through resistance.
Right.
Right? All right. So, dude, that seems like a conflict a little bit, right? But it's not, because I believe in that 100% just like you do. So talk to me about how you help people grow through resistance at the Power Yoga Project.
So a lot of people get really stuck in life and they don't know really where to turn, what to do. How do I get out of this situation? They want to grow, but they're stagnant, right? And when you're stagnant, you're unhappy. And I strongly believe that growth only happens when you're not comfortable. So if you're sitting there doing the same thing day in and day out, you're not growing. You're just there, right? And everybody's always looking and wishing and wanting and hoping to do more, to be better, but they don't really know where to start. And I started Power Yoga Project back in 2016 because I was in that exact situation. I was somewhere that I knew I wasn't going to be anymore. I wasn't going to go out like that anymore.
Right.
And so I got trained and I said, I'm going to take this back to the community and I am going to, let these people just come out, be themselves, have these conversations, have a different perspective, like an outsider's point of view. I don't know what's going on with each and every one of you, but I'm going to offer this class. We're going to get out in the heat. We're going to breathe. We're going to flow. We're going to move. We're going to focus. And we're going to get in your head. And somehow, some way, that subconsciously just makes them realize they can break the shell. Sure. And it's all about breaking the shell. Because if you're not ready to break the shell, you're not ready to grow. And as long as you're not growing, again, one of the worst things you can do is just remain stagnant, if not regress.
Sure.
And so that's one of our main things, is to kind of help people get past that, believing in their doubts. And they believe in their doubts and they succumb to their doubts. So it's getting past that. Absolutely.
Well, definitely controlling the voice in your own mind is definitely a challenge.
It is.
The guys at the highest levels of sports, they focus on this more than just about anything, not more than playing the game, but
that mental talk.
Absolutely. Your body's going to do what your mind says to do, right?
Right.
So I love it, man. I love it. So talk to me about the birth of the Power Yoga Project, kind of how it came to be, and really, more importantly, what is it going to be?
Right. So Power Yoga Project was born from a point of pain. And I'm just going to be real transparent here. I had 3 children in 4 years. That was a lot on my body. That was a lot on my mental state, emotional state. And I went from, just being single, living my life, to now I'm married. Ooh, I got 3 kids all of a sudden. And a lot of new moms and dads can really relate to this.
Sure.
You don't leave the house. Your entire life has changed. There was certain aspects in life where I was not allowed to go do what I wanted to do, be who I wanted to be. And I'll tell you one thing, it feels like a lion in a cage. And that's the way I was living. And I decided one day, I said, I need 1 hour a day for me. And I'm not going to feel guilty leaving these 3 babies at the house. I'm not going to feel guilty that so-and-so has to give the bath and I'm not doing this and I'm not making dinner. Because if I don't prioritize myself, everybody else is going to suffer. So I went to a local yoga studio. Never done yoga before in my life. I said, all right, that's cool. Let's try this. Let's give this a whirl. I love a challenge. I love to do something I've never done before. And this is what I like to instill in other people's mind. I go up to a local yoga studio, and within 2 classes, I was completely hooked. I mean, it was a game changer. And started with that little studio, and then it moved to a hot yoga studio. And then it got more intense and more intense. And I said, this is what has helped me get through this. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to be trained by the best in the world, and I'm going to take how it's helped me and I'm going to spread it out to my community. Mm-hmm. So I went out to Arizona and I trained in the desert under a wonderful,
that's what I'm talking about.
The best in the world. I don't want to be trained here in Nashville. I don't want to be trained by a studio. I want to go to the man. So I went to the man and I learned and I practiced and I met with the city where I live. And I said, hey, would you guys be interested in this idea? I don't want a yoga studio. I want to use your parks. It's June. It's hot. It's 105 degrees outside. I want to bring yoga to the community. Mm-hmm. I want it to be affordable for everyone. So I'm going to take this on a donation basis. And you let me use your parks. I'll give you a portion of the proceeds to go help the community, go build playgrounds for the children, whatever you want to do with it. Nick, I went from 5 students in my first class to over 1,000 students in 6 months.
That's awesome.
And from there, I was asked to go teach in schools.
Okay.
Will you come teach children? I was like, 4-year-olds, 5 years old. Okay. So this is new, right? So I went and taught in schools. From there, will you come teach the military? I was like, yeah, I'll come teach the military. Everybody at some point in their life is dealing with some sort of resistance, some sort of pain. Mm-hmm. And some of the greatest things ever are born out of that pain.
All the great things are born out
of
that pain.
All of them. Yeah. Really, they are. So went and trained the military. And then they said, can you come train in the prison system? I said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And at that point, there was personal issues going on in my life. I became a single mom for about 7 years of a 2, 4, and 6-year-old. So, had a full-time job as well. So I had to put Power Yoga Project to rest. Mm-hmm. So here we are 5, 6 years later.
Right.
And it's resurrected.
Well, I think that's a great story there, just in the fact that, you didn't quit, right? And that's a big thing, and that's the foundation of really everything that you do, right? It is. And everything's on God's time at the end of the day. You had to do what you had to do. You know what I mean? So, gosh, what I'm doing today, I wanted to do 10 years ago. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it took some time to figure out how, and then make that a part of actual life, making those decisions and removing the doubt from myself. As a matter of fact, so it's funny, you're talking about how you were in the beginning of that story, you were talking about how it's so important for you to take that hour for yourself.
It is.
Well, you know what? On the airplane, when it goes down, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because you can't help anybody else when you're passed out on the floor, right? So you have to be of certain health to be able to help other people. Absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely.
You do.
So, You figured out yourself how to take time out for self-discovery, growth, and resurrection. Talk to me about how that's bleeding over into not just the yoga part of what it is that you do, and the growth through resistance, but just sometimes it's hard to take time out for yourself.
I think it really applies to everybody. It is man, woman, new mom, new dad, middle-aged, older people. It's everybody is at a different stage of their life, and people come up against challenges, and you either have to push through those and you have to grow and you have to go. I'm at a point right now, it's not how much can I grow, it's how far am I going to go? Let's go. Yeah. Right? So I've come up against another challenge in my life, and I'm like, what were you absolutely so passionate about that you were able to help people? People grew from this. I have students that were teenagers. Their moms would come in and said, hey, this class was so amazing. It changed my outlook, my perspective on everything. Do you mind if I bring my teenage daughter? She's being bullied at school. She's going through a rough time. Yeah. This is what's happening. Not going into detail. If they come, I see those girls that were 15 years old. They're now in their early 20s, and they're now yoga instructors, right?
That's awesome.
And that just hits home so hard. It got them it changed their mindset.
Yeah.
Made them stop believing in that doubt. It made them realize that you don't have to always compare and compete.
Right.
People don't understand the prizes in the process. And so this is a lot of what we teach. And it does not matter how old you are. It does not matter what stage you are in your life. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It helps everyone. And I think the biggest thing is pushing somebody to their edge. I call it the edge of your mat, right? I mentioned this earlier. You go to the edge of your mat. I have you in a pose. You're uncomfortable. Oh, it burns. It hurts. It's just with any other thing you do, whether it's weightlifting. I do a lot of powerlifting. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's that last couple of reps, right? You did the first 10 reps. It's that last couple of reps. Can you get it? That's where you grow. That's where the muscle fibers start to tear, and that's where you grow. So you got to push beyond that edge. And you are at a point in the road where you can either fall out of the pose physically, fall out mentally, or you can flow through. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we teach. And, you know, it really applies to, like I said, anybody. One thing I really loved was training the military, because they've seen so much, they've gone through so much, and these are tough guys, right?
They were definitely pushed to their breaking point.
Yeah, they are.
That's
and
the first thing they did when they got there.
Yeah. And then they come back to real life, and it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
You know? And so you learn something different, and you see something from a different perspective. A lot of times, especially the big dudes are like, oh, I don't need yoga. I'm like, man, you don't know what you're missing. And absolutely you do. I want to cross-pollinate the worlds of, 2 worlds of power yoga. My yoga, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in burning incense, and I'm not interested in meditating. What I am interested in is getting you to go turn internally, you know, figure out who you authentically are. We all suffer from the same problem.
Yeah. And
that number one problem is we don't live 100% from our truth.
Right. That's right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I guess I'm always taking notes when we're doing those things. And you were talking about, you know, not focusing so much on your competition. At the end of the day, your true competition is just yourself,
just
right?
you.
So I'm always telling my son's baseball team that, you know, you already got one opponent out there.
Yeah.
Okay. You want it to be like 1-to-1 man-to-man coverage. You're not looking to be outnumbered. You know what I mean? So when now all of a sudden, if the umpire, if you make the umpire your opponent, now you got 2 opponents, and then boom, if you're to have negative self-talk, now it's 3 against 1. It's hard to win that way. You know what I mean? So you got to level the playing field. In your mind, Wayne Gretzky said, you win the game before you ever step out on the field.
You do.
You know what I mean? So you're competing with yourself. You're finding that breaking point. As a matter of fact, you're talking about, there's Romans 8:18 says, the pain you've been feeling can't compare to the joy that's coming.
Right.
Right? You wouldn't recognize joy if there was not pain.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't see light or understand light and respect light without dark. You wouldn't know evil. You wouldn't know good if it wasn't evil.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's always 2 sides.
Yeah, there is always 2 sides. There is.
It's incredibly powerful, man. So, let's talk about everybody's breaking points are different, okay? Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches, arguably to ever coach college sports. Like day one, what they're trying to figure out in their program is what is your breaking point? So they know how far they can push you and how they can extend that, right?
Yeah, and that's what I call going to the edge.
In the military, same thing. Boot camp. They're there to find out if they're going to invest any further into you after those 6 weeks or however long it is. They're there to break you. Yeah. Find out who can stay through, right? So, hitting your edge in life, the breakthrough, and how it relates to growth. How are you able to leverage somebody's breaking point? Like literally when they break, how are you able to leverage that into growth when they're at rock bottom?
You know, for the situations that I was in and teaching, I had no idea what anybody was going through. And that is the power of yoga, which is, it's my thing, man. It's my thing because I've seen it transform people in such a way that you don't know what they're going through. And it's just amazing. I know what it did to me, and I took it out there, and they're like, God, this is so powerful. You don't know. That's the crazy part. You don't know what somebody's breaking point is. Yeah. But you can see it, and they get in a pose, right? They get out there, and like I said, it's 105 degrees. We only do hot yoga. It's like glass, right? You want to mold glass, it's cold, break it.
That's right.
Heat it up, you can morph it into anything you want. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of hot yoga. That's right. You create space where you were once blocked. And you don't realize that. And that can be in a pose, in a stretch. And I see people's faces, and some of them will break down and they cry. I'm not asking why. I know it's hitting them. I know it's resonating with them. They're internalizing whatever is going on. Am I in a job that I can't stand? Am I in a relationship that's not serving me? And what we teach is show up and be a yes. Okay, so come to your mat, be a yes. Do you know what that yes is? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. By the end of class, you will. Okay. Let go of the luggage or baggage of life. So be a yes. Let go of something that does not serve you. So am I in this situation that's no longer serving me? Is it a friendship? Is it a career change you want to make? Is it a relationship that is not serving you any longer? Let go of what you must and come from a place where you are ready now. Okay. And it's those three things. Be a yes, let go of what you must, and come from I am ready now. And that gets you to the starting point. Mm-hmm. And then all that resistance that you just see it you feel it. Students, clients, they feel it. At the end of class, they lay down. Thoughts go out. They just breathe. We go back to the breath. And I tell you what, it's all about wringing somebody out. It's like if you took a piece of fruit and you wring it out, like an orange, you get orange juice, right? If I were to wring you out, what would come out? That's what yoga does. Is it doubt? Is it insecurity? Is it frustration? Is it strength? What is it? Mm-hmm. This is what power yoga does. And this is how it helps anybody, everybody. I've seen it. It's amazing. And it's coming back.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more. I believe that confidence is a skill.
It is.
Right? And for me, it's simple. It's the memory of past success.
Yeah.
But again, you have to remember, and who controls your thoughts, right? So even remembering past success, Derek Jeter said that. He said success is important because you can always draw from it.
Yeah.
So how have you been able to, so there's so many women, even my wife included to a degree, where, when you carry a human for 9 months, all right, you carry a human, and it does things to your body. Literally changes the shape of your body.
Changes the shape.
And then there's recovery. And at the same time you're recovering, you're still nourishing another human being. You know what I'm saying? So
oh, I do know what you're saying.
It's got, I would say that one of the hardest and most amazing overcomings in confidence is the woman, especially we had our last child we were both 40. So my wife was 40 going through this. All right. So recovery time at 40 is a lot different than at 25.
At 25.
Right. So talk to me a little bit about, for the women out there, that once they become a mom, they kind of let go.
They do.
Of themselves, because you talk a lot about authenticity. Right. And so how does your authentic self, knowing really who you are and why God put you here? He may have put you here to be a mother, but what else? Because the kids grow up.
Yeah, the kids grow up.
Right.
It's a experience like no other. And I know because I did it 3 times in 4 years, and it rocked my soul. It rocked my world. So I understand what mothers are going through. And one of the hardest things is to come out of that experience or multiple experiences and say, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I am not myself. What are the tools? What are the fundamentals? What are the things that I need to put in place to get back to who I was? And there's no guidebook out there. You got to want it bad enough. A lot of my neighbors, a lot of my friends in the community, they do ask me. I'll be real honest about this. How do you do what you do? And I decided a long time ago, after I did have my children, and I didn't look like I used to look, and I felt horrible, because not only are you physically going through changes, your hormones, and it'll make you it turns you into somebody that you're not, and you don't really realize it. And now you've got all these little people you're taking care of, and you put taking care of yourself to the side, and you don't even realize it. But I looked around, I could empathize with what all these other mothers were going through, because I looked like crap. I didn't like it, and I made the choice one day. I'm not going to be a lion in a cage, because that's how I feel. I'm going to do whatever it takes to break out of that. And I'm not going out like that. I just told myself one day, I'm not going out like that.
Love it.
And they say, how do you do this? I was in a relationship at the time that didn't serve me any longer. We're great friends now. We were great friends before. Being married, it just we weren't great at that. We're great co-parents, but it did not serve me. And I had to make that decision that if I'm going to grow, I don't need to be afraid of the transition. A lot of people are so afraid of starting over.
Yeah.
And so afraid of taking that step. And, honestly, I don't know what it is. You have to get your mindset. You got to unwind that mind. Mm-hmm. What do you really want? What is the best for you? What is the best for your family? What is the best for your children?
Yeah.
I think it all goes back to you.
Okay. Folks, we're here with Heather Andrews, the CEO of the Power Yoga Project. You can find that online at thepoweryogaproject.com. And check out Heather on Instagram at Heather H. Andrews, as well as TikTok, Heather Andrews 35, right? So, Heather, Rory Vaden says, you're most powerfully positioned and uniquely qualified to serve the person that you used to be. Right? Incredibly
Absolutely.
Powerful. So, as far as like who your avatar is, it could be anybody. But like, again, folks, there's this is a very saturated space.
It is so saturated.
Industry. All right. So again, when people are picking out who they should go try first, to do a class, to vet out who it is that they're going to get the best results out of, isn't it pretty fair to say that you should kind of maybe see somebody that has already walked the trail and blazed the trail that you've walked, the steps you've walked already?
Yeah. Yeah, and how we stand out. I didn't ever want to bring yoga back the way everybody perceives yoga. And I've been to a million classes, and I've had so many different instructors. I have one yoga instructor now. I stick with him because he, in my mind, is the best. He teaches the way I was taught as well. I don't go to anybody else because they just don't do it for me. When I started this, I wanted to make it different. My yoga class, Power Yoga Project, is unlike any class you've ever had. 1, we get into your head. 2, I bust out the music. Again, like I said, I'm
what
not.
What kind of music
is
it?
Man.
Is it old school hip hop? What we got?
I've got Eminem. I've got Dr. Dre. I've got Leonard Skinner. I've got $1 Million Baby, whatever. Isn't it funny that music resonates with like the one thing that resonates with everybody? It can put you in a good mood, bad mood, in your car. Anytime I'm in my head about something, I just crank it. I'm in the car and I just go. So I took that and I said, I'm going to take that and I am going to teach yoga. And when I teach, I am very direct, very demanding, very loud. And I have that music, but that music moves you. It takes you to an experience that you had at some point in your life. And man, it kind of frees the soul. And this is where it's different. And this is, one of the things we're working on is not only we're pairing with veterans associations, we're pairing with the American Cancer Society to give back. We are also going into yoga studios. A lot of the world is very complacent now. Yoga was huge before COVID. And then COVID happened, everybody's at home, everybody's hanging out in their PJs, and man, they're still there. It's time to revamp it. It's time to ignite that inner fire back into people. And, the economy's hurting, studios are hurting. I never wanted to have a studio because I wanted to take it out into the world. I wanted to spread it. I wanted to take it to those people. Instead of them coming to me, I wanted to go to them wherever they were and have a great big space and get out there and make a difference. So that's what we did, and that's what we're doing again. So like I said, we are going to be partnering. We're going to be giving a portion of the proceeds of what we make to these organizations.
Love it.
But also working with current yoga studios. Let's say, okay, you just opened a studio. You've got 20 students. You want 1,000? Come work with us.
Gotcha.
So we can teach you how to scale. We can teach you how to be different. Because I can tell you, I can go in any studio at all, and it's the same old, same old, same old. So we can teach you how to stand out. And that's how we went from 5 to 1,000 students in 6 months.
I love it.
It resonates with people. You got to throw something in there. You got to shake them up a little bit,
Absolutely. So, and congratulations on all that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. I'm a big, I love to scale. I love things that scale.
Who doesn't?
I love it. All right. So in figuring out how to be you, to do you, for you, talk to me a little bit about, just there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot, there's always stuff going on. Life happens. That's you can say it two ways. Life happened or life happens. And it's all in how you perceive it. So, everybody's busy.
Yeah.
We all get the same 24 hours, right? I love one of my favorite quotes is life is fair. Everybody's price is just different. Okay. So we're all put here. It's a free world, free economy. We can make it or break it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On our own.
Yeah.
And we have everything that we need to do that. Okay. Depending on how you were brought in here and how you were raised, that's your starting point. Life's fair. Everybody's price is just different to get to those same locations. All right. So talk to me about how do you get people to learn to cut through the noise, right? To stop listening to the negative feedback, the negative voices.
It's tough. It's really tough now with the different platform of social media that's out there than that was even out there 5 or 10 years ago. One of the things I teach is life is happening not to you. It's happening for you.
Got it.
And a lot of people don't realize, they don't look at it that's, this happened to me. We don't have experiences. We have reactions to experiences. So for example, you're like, this happened to me. I can't believe this is happening. Like, and they get so negative. Again, go back to stop comparing, stop competing with all the crap that you see out there on social media. And it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to me. Sometimes I just have to be like X. I click on one thing and that's the only damn thing I see in my feed, you know? And it's like, how do I do this? I'm like a dartboard, right? Everybody's throwing the darts at me. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You have to go back again to your true authentic self. And you say, who am I? I am going to be me. I am going to do me, and I'm going to do it for me. Because if I do it for everybody else, you know, and if I'm consumed with what is everybody else like, what am I doing now? What's everybody going to think? I don't care. I don't care what anybody else thinks about this podcast. I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. They see me on social media. They see the transformations. I don't care. And one thing I've always taught is not only to be you, do you for you, because nobody else matters, right? I mean, your family, all that,
Sure.
Your friends matter. The world does not matter. And you know what? They're probably not looking at you and judging you in the way that you think. So 2 words to get over all that noise. So what?
Gotcha.
So what?
Absolutely.
It's that simple.
Well, it's, you know, it's kind of, I used to say that when I was in the world of insurance. We had all of our agency owners and whatnot. And I remember we had a rookie he couldn't get policies through underwriting.
Yeah.
Okay. And he came up to me and he said, Nick, I think they're targeting me. And my response is like, bro, don't flatter yourself. You know what I mean? Like, do they even really know who you are type thing? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, think about it. Why would they target you? What's in it for them is getting people approved, getting clients that is their avatar,
right.
Paying premiums every month. That's what's in it for the insurance company. So why would they target you and just reject everybody that you put through? What's in it for them? And he was like, I never really thought about it that way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think you're exactly right that maybe we think that we're
overthinking it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're thinking we're a little more special than we really are.
And the people that are throwing shade, usually they're people that throw shade at you are never doing more than you're doing already.
They're doing a lot less, and they're doing it behind a keyboard, and that's a sad place to be.
That's right. So, well, let's talk. You talked a little bit about social media a little bit, and you're doing some great things to get the word out. People can't do business with you if they don't know you're there.
Yeah.
Right? People are spending 8 to 10 hours a day looking at this sucker. And it's my belief, if you ain't there, you lose in the world of business. You know what I'm saying? So you're working with the great Coach Burt.
I am.
You are one of the amazing clients here at the Greatness Factory. You're really investing heavily in your presence on social to try to help people change their paradigm and maybe lead them back to you, since you believe you're the person best fit to help them, right? So let's talk a little bit about that journey. First of all, how great is it working with Coach?
I mean, you know, he showed up in my feed, and just hearing him talk, I was like, and then the fact that he was here locally in proximity to me was a big deal.
Yeah.
Because you see all of these personalities, right, on Insta or wherever, and Bradley, Cardone, all this, how they got out there, but these guys are far removed, and I'm like, I like the way he talks. He's so relatable. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like relatable people. I like authentic, genuine people. And he really is, man. And he's so good at what he does. Mm. And I told him, I was like, you know, I've had many coaches in life. I believe everybody needs a coach, no matter what they're going through.
Preach.
Yoga, powerlifting, CrossFit. I mean, those are just the avenues. Or I like to call them, instead of goals, I call them adventures. I go on adventures, and I need a coach for every single one of them. I'm on an adventure now. 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever I started this, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't even know if TikTok was a thing then, but it didn't matter. You got out there and you got in front of people. And unfortunately, and I will say unfortunately, because I do not like it, the world has shifted to this online presence. I'll be offering a lot of things online, a lot of classes for beginners, a lot of classes for people that really can't get out of their house. They have to do it at home. It is not my favorite. It's not, but
Sure.
It is what it is. We're in a different landscape now. And in that landscape, I need to learn how to navigate it. And what better way to do that than having somebody that has already done it. He's been coaching for 30 years now. And not only does he was a basketball coach, he was a national championship winner. He's coached real estate. He's coached venture capitalism. He's mergers and acquisitions, and he coaches business. And I ran my business before. My business has now been resurrected, but I am in a completely different landscape.
That's
right.
right.
Like, what do I do with this? Right. So I am so grateful for him and everything that he's taught me. And, getting out there and getting public and getting on social media, it can be a little, shaky, a little, again, going back to what are people going to think? And I got to say to myself, so what?
Yeah.
But as long as I have a good coach along the way, it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at HitLab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the HitLab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more. Talk to me a little bit about your journey with what you're wanting to do with content, because you guys are capturing some great stuff.
Yeah.
What's the goals of that content and how it's going to help drive new people to your business?
So with the content, I want to drive people, to the online courses, because I want to be able to provide yoga to people anytime, anywhere. Whether that's here in Nashville, whether that's in California. So one of the good things in the digital landscape that we're in right now is we've become more virtual, and being more virtual means reaching a bigger audience.
Absolutely.
So with my content, I'm not just here in my 1-2 city little community where I was in the beginning. Now I can be virtual, and I can train anybody, in the United States, all over the world. So, bringing in content, podcasts, reels, whatever, to draw those people in and say, oh, go check this out on YouTube. Go check this out, on the online workshops. It really drives traffic to that. And, when we work with partnerships, when we donate, as we move through building or scaling this organization to a much bigger platform, we can announce that to people. We will hold festivals, we'll hold, fundraisers, things like that. And I can get that out on social media to my close proximity. But you never know, that might hit home with somebody up in New York. It might hit home with somebody in Florida. We don't know. And that gives you that space and that flexibility to then travel a lot further than where we were a decade ago. So
no doubt. Well, it's, for the power of social media, the content changed my wife and I's life greatly when we went. I mean, honestly, we made a great living in the world of insurance by marketing one thing and one thing only, and that was another win for the customer who's next. Yeah, you know what I mean. It was all about them. I don't really care exactly why my Jeep runs the way it runs. I just want to know that it runs the way that it runs, and I want to trust that it's going to run that way every time. You know what I mean? So like. For me, when it came to, that's why we didn't talk a lot about the ins and outs and nuts and bolts of the health insurance industry. That's why, when it comes to content, there's some education that is required. But at the end of the day, you're putting it out there to help and serve other people so that they can find you. So as a matter of fact, Jesus even said that with his disciples. Once they're ready, he said, "Go." Your greatest leaders were first the greatest followers. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So, and that's usually where like your next in line, your next coaches, your next franchisee. franchisees and everything else will be students first before they usually take that
yeah,
journey, right?
And that already happened. And it happened organically back then. It happened that, they were trained. It changed their life. It got them unstuck from that situation they were in. It had such a powerful resonance on their life that now they're teachers. I didn't even know, because I now see them on social media, and I'm like, or you know what? I was like, 2-for-1 special, whatever, go here and get a week free. And there's my student teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a great feeling that is.
Absolutely.
To grow something like that. So there's a lot of power in that. There really is. No doubt.
And again, people are spending 8 to 10 hours a day. People, like, when you ask, like, people do business with people that they trust, brands that they trust.
And trust you.
Something that they trust. So how is trust built? Right? So
Yeah.
if you, trust is built through time.
Yes.
Right? Time together, collaboration and whatnot. So one of the coolest things that happened to me is, like, and I have a great audience, especially on the western side of the United States. It's awesome. So, like, when my family and I go out there, people will stop me at the airport for pictures and stuff like that. It's cool. But the most common thing that I get is, like, Nick, I feel like I know you, and I'm meeting them for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's because of just what they've seen online over and over and over again. Frequency is how you build trust.
It is.
Right?
It is when you can't be there face to face in person. It is.
So if they're seeing your competition more than you, your competition's gaining their trust, not you. Mm-hmm. Right? So think about that, and think about the amount of quantity that's going out in content today. So, like, we're pretty good at it. And, my team's putting out anywhere from 4 to 6 pieces of content per platform per day.
That's insane.
Right? My competition's doing 10. What's your competition doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if they drew the line in the sand, if they said this is what it is, you got to go out and compete with that.
Yeah.
Like with the Orange Theories and those people out there, they got corporate money behind them.
They do have corporate money behind them.
And they're putting out content like crazy at scale.
Yeah.
Right? So at the end of the day, you're making all the right choices. You're making big investments into that. And the cool thing is just like everything else in your business, the more consistently you do it, it compounds.
Yeah.
And Brad Lee told me that when I first met him back in 2020, because we were using only static images, Heather. All right. And he said, why aren't you using video? I was like, we're doing pretty good with static images. And he said, well, how much better would you be doing with video?
Yeah. Grow, adapt, evolve.
So
really.
I don't know. He said, you want to find out?
Yeah.
And so we did. And it literally was a game changer for us. So if you think about it, 4 to 6 pieces of content per day times 7 platforms.
People start seeing your face over and over and over.
That's exactly right.
I like this guy.
When people say, dude, Nick, I get on Instagram and all I see is your feed, I'm like, good. The team's doing a good job.
Keeping it up.
Because, again, that's what we're here to do. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think, Heather, people in the beginning of that journey, though, like, anytime I build a business, how am I going to exit the business is where we start. I don't start a business to live there and die there. You know what I mean? Everything that we do is, how do I get out of it when I'm done? How do I get out of it when I'm done? It's the same thing with your social. So, like, we've been filming. I put you this way. If I died today, my 3-year-old daughter and my 15-year-old son would have hundreds of thousands of HD quality hours of footage of old dad. That's the worst that could happen by having all that. Not to mention, if I died today, how much content could be ran? Like, seriously, Friends has been off the air for 20 years, and it's still being ran. Has it been 20 years? It has, and it's still being ran over and over and over again. So as you build more and more catalog, you can start to put in reruns. You can start to run. So that's how I scaled it first, is we were shooting the same amount of content, but then we were going and dropping stuff from the stuff that was the most popular from 30, 60, 90, 120 days ago. Yeah, and even just dropping it again. Dropping reruns.
Well, you have a bigger audience every single time you do that, right? And so you have some people, they're not going to go back and scroll back to a year ago, so redrop it. I understand that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it is, again, everything is a numbers game.
It is. It really is.
Everything's a numbers game. And the more, like, it's funny, what you focus on grows, So, like, anytime, like, it took me a long time to understand that the greatest in whatever it was that they were great at, it was in great detail. Okay, so, like, the difference between my physical physique and a bodybuilder's physical physique is the detail in their lifts and and their regimens, but more importantly, the details of how they eat. Because it's 100% of science and discipline, and it ain't
try coaching people on that, by the way.
but again, it's how like how great you are at the details and the smallest things. The little things are the big things.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, it's the same thing in content generation. Like literally the clips that we run from this episode, like I'm pointing at the camera right now and they'll use it. The clips that that we run from this episode, we study, did they even finish the full 57 seconds or however long it was? And when did they tune out?
Yeah.
Because there's a call to action at the end of every one of those clips.
Yeah.
Did they even make it to the call to action? And if not, we failed them.
Yeah.
We failed them because they have choices, and that's the thing that we're always challenging the team with. Everything's in the numbers, the analytics. If things aren't going like you want, you got to go to the numbers, right?
You do. It's all about KPIs. Really, it's all about metrics. Everything in business. I mean, I've been in the world of IT corporate for 20 years, and it's goals, it's metrics.
Yep.
And if you're either in the red, you're in the green.
That's
and if you're in the red, it's time to pivot.
So the word nowhere.
Yeah.
All right.
My favorite word on planet Earth.
Why is that?
Well, I wish I could take credit for this, but I can't. But again, I had a great coach, and through great coaches, you learn. The word nowhere, it is one word, two completely different meanings.
Okay.
All right. And it goes back to, are you living in the now? Are you living in the past? The past regret and guilt. I wish, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Are you living in the future, which is, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are you living in a state of anxiety? So you are either now here or you're nowhere. It's one word. It's two completely different meanings. So you break that nowhere up, and you're now here. So if you're now here, you are living authentically in the present. Me, you, in this room, we are now here. This is what matters right now. 30 minutes ago did not matter. What happens in 2 hours doesn't matter. I don't need to focus on that. One, it doesn't exist. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what's going to happen. So why would I focus my energy on something that happened last week or something that's going to happen in 2 or 3 hours? Or I think, and I think people get so obsessed in the what ifs and the what words and what could I have done? How could this have been different? And they completely lose sight of where they are right now. That's watching their kids grow up. That's being at the baseball game. That's being at the football game. I see all these parents. We play, my kids and I, we play a game called How Hot Can You Stand It? So we'll go up to the local Mexican place and I see all these other families, and not to get off topic, but it's really not off topic, but I see all these other families, they've got their kids and all their kids are like this in their iPads and in their phones and the whole time, and the parents, they have their couple of margaritas and they just want time to breathe. We go and we get all the, not just the regular salsa, but I say, how many hot salsas do you have? You got some of that homemade magic stuff in the back. And me and my boys, my daughter, she's a little too young for the hot stuff. So my boys will play How Hot Can You Stand It? And we are and that is who can eat the most of the hottest salsa that's out there and without taking a drink of water. And it's silly. But I'm engaging with my children and I am in the present moment, and so are they. And that means a lot. I know that's like a silly scenario, but I mean, think about how powerful that is. I went to dinner with my kids. I do not ever allow phones or computers or tablets or whatever at the dinner table or when we go out. And I see all these other parents, other families, and they're just so not present. So they are nowhere. They're nowhere when they could be now here. And that's why that's my favorite word on planet Earth. If you can grasp that concept and really apply it and be mindful of it in everyday situations, at work, with your children, at a ball game, wherever, it can really be that powerful to shift your mindset and to make life a lot better. It's crazy. You just got to take that one word and think of it that way.
I like it.
Yeah.
I do. I like it. So I've got in my notes here to talk about emotional reactiveness, right? So I tell my son's team all the time. So I believe that a reaction is a defense mechanism. I believe a response is an offensive mechanism. Okay. Right. So I use those two words to play at the same thing. I always tell my son's baseball team, winners anticipate, losers react. Winners will also respond. How that was. A response, in my opinion, is thought. A reaction is not. Right? A reaction is emotion. It is emotion. A response is intellect. Yeah. Right? So talk to me a little bit about how to maybe use emotional reactiveness, but turn that into an emotional response.
Oh my goodness. That is a tough question.
Well, what's the number one thing you tell people when they're dealing with other people's or their own judgments, thoughts, or limiting beliefs?
I would tell them, so what? But let me put an example just out there for people to think about. You're in your car, you're driving home. Let's say you're in Nashville. There's more traffic here now than there is in like Times Square, at least I feel. So let's say it takes you an hour and a half to get home and you're stuck in traffic and you're not going and you're just, and I see these people and they get the road rage or they're sitting there like this and you're being reactive to the situation that you're in. And it's negative. It's negative. Just a little piece of advice. You could take that reaction and your situation, your reaction to the situation from negative to positive and say, hey, I know I do this every day. I know I'm going to be in the car for an hour, hour and a half. Maybe I take this time instead of honking and getting mad at everybody and I'm stuck and I'm not going anywhere. Take the time and look at it in a different manner. Look at it as this is 1 hour I get to myself. This is 1 hour I get to blast my music because that's what I do. This is 1 hour I just get to breathe and be. This is the 1 hour I get before I need to go home and do dishes, laundry, make dinner, and, all the responsibilities of a parent or a single person or whatever. We all still have those responsibilities. We go to work, we keep up the house, all those days. This is my 1 hour to myself. How about that?
Got it.
And that's a response. I'm going to be mindful of this. Instead of, oh, poor pitiful me. Life is happening to me. It's not happening for me. We go back to that.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's just implanting that, maybe just giving somebody a little nudge. Hey,
Right.
how about you stop being so reactive and look at it in a different way?
Right.
Maybe take that moment and just process and just be. There's
what I'm
nothing
talking
wrong
about.
with just being.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hyder. Team Hyder has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhyder.com. All right, so out of respect, I will never ask you a question that was too personal that I wouldn't give you my own information
All right.
first. All right, so let me start
Bring
this
it.
out with I turned 44 this year.
I turned 46 a couple weeks ago.
Answered my first question beautifully, right? All right, so 46. Now we got to dig deep here.
Oh, boy.
So, seriously, we need to go to a vulnerable place right here for a second, okay? So you turned 46. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So do you.
And I mean that. And honestly, that's inspiring. Okay?
Thank you.
That's very inspiring.
Yeah.
So, my wife is my hero, dude. Like, she's 2 weeks older than me. 2 weeks older than me. So got that. So for 2 weeks out of the year, it's fun time at the old Hyder house,
Hey, my husband is 9 years younger than me, so let's talk.
Come on. Well, but she constantly has reinvented herself from being a mom of one, a teenager, to a mom of two. And she runs everything at home. I'm just so amazed. She should wear a cape. She's literally a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
But it takes so much confidence to literally you put some of your dreams, your business dreams, on the back burner to raise kids, get family life intact. Then you had to do what you had to do, and you went out in corporate America where you're very successful there. But now, so literally, you're at the top of your game, and now you're going to go say, you know what? Let me make it hard again. Let me go back to the bootstraps here, and chase my dreams at 46. And I think that's incredible, dude. I really think that's incredible. And I think more people should have the balls and confidence to do that. You know what I mean? They should find enough faith in themselves. So at 46 years old, Heather, nobody you're going to come across is going to come across anything you hadn't already walked.
Yep. Agreed.
Right? So
agreed.
I remember I had the privilege to meet with you and your soon-to-be husband at the time.
Yeah.
When you were about to take this journey here at the Greatness Factory. And for me, my opinion of how successful you're going to be and how fast is just really how quickly you dial it down and get extremely clear on exactly what makes you unique and different, because you 100% are. And that's something I'm still working on myself. You know what I mean? That's something we're all working on.
We are.
But talk to me about let's just say the own voices in your own mind, because they had to be, I'm 46. What am I doing? Talk to me about that. Walk me through that journey.
Let me tell you how this happened. I have had a very successful career. Got out of college. I got a degree in mathematics. That led me into the world of IT. The stuff that I do did not exist when we were in college. You and I are right about the same age. And so I kind of learned and evolved in that space through work. And I've done that for over 2 decades now. Okay. So this was my thought process. This is my thought process. I got about another 25 years in me of working.
That's all right.
I was not put on this planet to sit behind monitors in my dining room.
Good for you.
And it's as simple as that.
Good for you.
I did something in 2016 where I was of service to other people and I made a difference in the world. What I do in the corporate world, I do not make a difference. I work with the government. I don't even want to go into it. It's just so, And when you get stuck again. So back then I did my yoga thing. I was in a situation. It was more of a personal thing. I was stuck and I got the hell out of it. And everybody is going to go through these evolutions of being on the top of your game and being in a valley and being stuck and being unstuck. And what do you do to do that? And I just said to myself, I was not put on this earth to sit behind monitors when I could make such an impact in the world. So I'm going to take everything I got, right? I am going to take that risk and I am going to resurrect the biggest, boldest, brightest, greatest thing that I ever did because I've got a huge stage now that did not exist at that point.
Good for you.
And that's social media. And while I'll say I would much rather be in person any day of the week in front of a class of 50 or 100 people, and I will, than be online. The fact of the matter is, if I can reach that many more people through content, through this journey, through getting out there, doing a podcast, putting out reels, whatever, then I'm going to flip and do it. And I'm doing it because I'm not going to spend my next 25 years behind monitors on a keyboard.
That's right.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. I'm not going out like that.
You find your breaking point.
Yeah, you do. You do. You find your edge and you push past it.
That's right. And it's
pain. When the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of leaving or changing, that's where the magic happens.
That's right. All right, so check this out. This is the pattern in which we're all raised here in the great United States of America.
Yeah.
All right, so around 4 or 5 years old, we enter the school system. All right, we go into kindergarten. All right, and literally, it wasn't that long ago since my son graduated from kindergarten, where we had to show up at this big event space and they had a it was like a dang college graduation, and my man finished kindergarten. All right, he was flying away to first grade and he was so excited. I'm a first grader. Think about when you finish 8th grade and now you're a freshman, you're in high school.
Yeah.
So for 13 years minimum, every year you reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to college, that's great. You get into the workforce or whatever. But many folks, once they get into the workforce, they stop reinventing themselves. They stop that development over and over again because it's not forced upon them or given to them. Right. It was because it was handed to us. We take it for granted, and it's not something that's part of our everyday life. So how many, for me, my wife and I had a really tough conversation earlier this year where I told her, I was like, do you feel like we're far enough from where we were a year ago today? Or do you feel like we're almost in the same place? And think about that. We only get so much time on earth. And it's my opinion that if I'm in the same place I was last year, that's called a hamster wheel.
It is.
Right? We're just running in the same place. And if that's, first of all, that's not our plan. Okay. We change on purpose. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional.
Yeah.
Right. The world's going to change. And if you grow, that's up to you. So with us, we truly, a lot of people use New Year's as that. All right. Well, how many times have you made the same New Year's resolutions you made the previous year and previous year and previous year before?
Yeah. I don't believe in resolutions, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you believe in?
I believe in small changes every single day that end up in a compounded change, really.
I like to use the GPS as a great little reference because...
What do you mean, like the GPS in your car?
Absolutely.
Like could you get from here to Florida? You and I could. We could get from here to Florida without a GPS.
Well, the reason
but I bet if you were 25, you couldn't.
Well, the reason I like it is because it only works if you tell it where you're going.
Yeah.
You have to set a destination to understand how to build the journey. Okay. And then it's going to give you all these different routes that you can take. You get to pick one. And then it's even, guess what? Life happens. there's a wreck ahead of you, and it's going to detour you or whatever it may be, and it's going to adjust the arrival time's even different.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like GPS is definitely a map of success.
It is.
If you want to use it that way. So and it dawned on me a few years ago when I was trying to explain to somebody literally what we're talking about right now, and finally it was like, dude, it's just like the GPS. Like even they're like, well, I was like, every time you get in the car, you're going somewhere. They're like, well, what if you're just going for a drive? You know you're going to end up at home.
Yeah.
You still know where you're going to stop driving, right? You know where the end is.
Yeah.
So even with any journey, okay, so some people may just call resolution a goal, but like aren't the best shots the person who can hit the smallest target?
Yeah.
Right? So
that's where I think you have to become the destination.
Well, if your destination is, I want a big house. Well, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Well, so
Right.
do I. I
Which
want $1
big
bazillion dollars, but what does that mean?
Which big house? Brad said, dude, you got to be able to visualize. He's like, if you want a private jet, he's like, you just don't, not only do you pick out the jet, but what logo is on what color leather seat inside with that. So like, again, the best shot in the world is the person who gets the smallest target, right? So the best at accomplishing their goals are the ones who can hit the most precise and smallest goals. Wouldn't you think so?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
so when I guess that's kind of what you do for folks is you get people when they're in stagnation.
I do.
And you're saying, what's the next chapter look like?
Yeah.
Who are you in the next chapter? But more importantly, when you've written all the chapters and it's the end of the book, who is that person? Who are you becoming?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So talk to me a little bit about the mindset portion of that, because again, you talk about classes and stuff. Yeah. So talk to me about the mindset a little bit.
So the 5 biggest mistakes that people make, mental mistakes, they believe in their doubts. I mentioned this earlier. They believe in their doubts. They hate the idea of starting over because that's fear, and everything that you want is on the other side of fear. And a lot of people do not realize that. And that's one thing that I do teach. So they hate the idea of starting over because it's scary. What's going to happen? I'm taking this risk. What's going to happen? And it doesn't matter what situation. They hate the idea of starting over. They do not recognize that the prize is in the process. That's number 3. They are constantly comparing and competing. Number 4. And number 5, they do not understand resistance.
Got it.
So
I love that. That's very good.
I
Framework
resist
solid.
this. I resist this. But what is your resistance?
Yeah.
Right? What is that change that you want to make?
Absolutely.
How are you going to do that?
Absolutely. You mentioned proximity a couple times.
Yeah.
All right. So talk to me about the power of community and proximity.
The power of community is great. The power of building a healthy community with like-minded individuals. It starts an energy and it starts a movement that people can get on board and people can be a part of something that's greater than themselves. I like to talk, when I teach, I like to kind of end things with step into your own greatness. A lot of people don't know what that is. Life is about being bigger than yourself. And when you can join a community of like-minded individuals and they can help you along the way, you can have discussions, whether that's in church, whether that's in, a yoga class, whether that's in, some kind of whatever communities there are. There's a gazillion of them out there. I think the power of people and the power of friendship and the power of being around people with the same energy as you can catapult you into anything you want to be, anything you want to do. And that is, one of the biggest pillars of what I'm doing is building that community. You don't even understand how many people it changed, how many friendships it created. I met my very best friend, soulmate of my life. She was a student of mine for 1.5 years before she even spoke one word.
Wow.
And now we're inseparable.
That's powerful.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
it really is crazy. And so, building that, it's life-changing.
The Hitstreak is powered by Rack Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, Rack Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out Rack Financial. So folks, we're hanging with Heather Andrews, the CEO of the Power Yoga Project. You can check them out online at poweryogaproject.com. You can keep up with Heather on Instagram at Heather H. Andrews and on TikTok at Heather Andrews 35. Heather, there's some your client, your future clients are listening right now, and they're like they're thinking, should I? So first of all, should they? And secondly,
absolutely.
How do they? So how do they find you? How do they find you? How do they inquire? Walk them through the process of they're like, yeah, I'm really interested to hear what Heather's got to offer me.
Yeah.
Right, so let's talk about what they reach out, tell them where to reach out, and then what happens after that.
So you reach out to poweryogaproject.com, go to the website, depending on what you want to do. There are online classes where you can sign up for a membership, and we have different packages of memberships. You can book a call with me. If you're a yoga studio that wants to take that next step to go further to scale, you click the button, book a consult. I'll come out there, and I have training programs that you can go to. I have, we can collaborate together. Right. So really, it's just going to the website. You can always DM me on Instagram or Facebook, and we can get started that way as well.
Got it. I love it. And if there's any doubts at all, go for that call, right? That would be the way to do it.
Yeah. And so our number is listed on the website. Perfect. So you can call the number, you can book a consult. Again, it's it's poweryogaproject.com.
There you go. It's all right. Well, Heather, congratulations on all your success. Yeah. Congratulations on constantly reinventing yourself to a new and better version.
I get bored really easy. I really do. I think that's a big catalyst of all of this. And I don't think getting bored is a bad thing.
No, some people call that innovation. Yeah. Call that innovation. So, again, congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the new marriage. You got a lot of good stuff going on,
It's been a busy year.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I'm so proud to hear it. And again, what you're doing is amazing. The great news is you're just getting started, in my opinion.
I know.
So, any final thoughts that you would want to leave with our audience today?
I would just say life is not in your head. Come out and play. Let's do this.
That's beautiful. I couldn't think of a better way to bring this sucker to a close.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, again, congratulations on all your success,
folks.
Thank
you, Nick.
PowerYogaProject.com. Connect with Miss Heather. Heather H. Andrews on Instagram and on TikTok at Heather Andrews 35. Again, congratulations. Your best is yet to come. And
Thank
folks,
you, Nick.
if you're not following her, she's investing into that process. Check her out online. The great and amazing content is coming, right?
Right. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.